Peter Miller moved to Weston, Vermont in 1947, and it wasn't long after that Peter bought his first camera.
I think it was a Kodak 2¼ reflex. It was a good camera, and I haven't a clue why I bought it. And I started taking pictures.
And while attending high school at Burr and Burton Academy, Peter skied Bromley.
So I was on the volunteer ski patrol at Bromley, Big Bromley. Somebody's hurt in the mountain. We get him on the toboggan. I had a broken leg, pull it, put it in a splint, tie him on, boom, down the mountain. At Bromley, I remember on a snowy day, and I would just go up that lift, just up to a little bit above the trees, and then ski down. And I had these yellow goggles when it was snowing out, and I went in and you could smell wool and the snow and wetness, and everybody was talking and sort of exciting.
Peter went on to the University of Toronto and kept taking pictures. He landed a great summer job as the camera assistant for the legendary portrait photographer Joseph Karsh.
I went over to Paris the first time with Joseph Karsh as his assistant. And that was 1954.
After college, and fearing the draft, Peter enlisted for a 3-year hitch in the Army.
So I went to Signal Corps School of Photography. I graduated first in my class. Because of that, I had my pick of assignments.
Peter chose Europe, was stationed in Paris, and when he returned, knew he wanted to be a journalist. And he got hired by Life magazine in New York.
But I was hired as a reporter. I was not allowed to take photographs. And that's what I did, and I learned how to write. The stress was incredible trying to put out a magazine every week. The deadlines went to 3, 4, 5 a.m. on Sundays. And I thought about it, and I always liked Vermont and skiing and the outdoors. I quit. I got up to Vermont, I said, what have I done? I'm back in Vermont. I don't have any job. I left the best job in journalism in the world. What am I doing? It was a mess. But I was back in Vermont, and I had 2 kids and a good place for kids to grow up. The cameras are what saved me. Taking pictures, I got to know light, color. I was expert at filters. And I would change films at dusk and found out what worked well with snow and the shadows and so forth. And then I started to work for Vermont Life with the first editor, and he had the best photographers.
It was the ski boom of the 60s, and Peter wrote it with ski magazine assignments, traveling everywhere to shoot and write articles on the sport, like covering the 1966 Internationals at Stowe, photographing legends such as Jean-Claude Killy.
I got paid fairly well, and I traveled skiing all over the place. And then I was doing other assignments for magazines, and I seemed to be right at the cusp of a lot of things, and I don't know why. You're right about that, and I just got into it, and things were exploding, and the interstate came in.
Peter decided he could publish a Vermont skiing magazine, and using his own money, he did.
We only published 2 or 3 times a year. I did an essay on the Cochrans. Didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I shot it. So I followed them, and I have a very good record of them growing up as teenagers and becoming racers.
And then Bobby, Marilyn, and Lindy not only made the U.S. ski team, but Barbara won Olympic gold.
My luck, or whatever it is. I go out and I just know the outdoors. From looking at the sky, I think you learn it in Vermont. And you know after a storm here, and everything turns green, and before a storm, a north wind comes in, boom, clean weather. And I just learned a lot about that in Vermont, because our weather changes so quickly.
The economy also changed quickly in 1970, ending Peter's magazine. But Ski Magazine hired Peter to follow the U.S. Alpine team in Europe for the whole season, and he turned it into a book.
I followed the American team for a year, And I did the 30,000-mile ski race, and I concentrated on the team, on the people, on the racing.
After creating his ski almanac, then Peter's camera and pen captured the speed skiing scene in France and then South America.
I met McKinney, and I was there when they broke the 200K mark. And this was at, I think it was Les Arcs. What you needed in that race was strength and concentration. I always shot black and white for myself, and I learned black and white first. And when I was working for Karsh and looking at his pictures, moving in close to the face, he captured the humanity of the person. I said, that's my job. My job is to look at that map in that face. When I first went skiing in Weston, it was I think it was Model A engine. My friends used to run it. And when we got on, they'd rev it up, so we'd go up faster than we came down sometimes. And there was a little jump at the end, and you better let go or else. And then we had races and we had parties, and it was wonderful. Skiing was a club. That's what I saw. And then it became a business. I've done so much in Vermont now, and I said, gee, I think I've done enough here. What do I do now? Vanishing Vermonters, that's what I am.